Look, first of all, I can't say enough about Riley and what he did for us last year, and obviously his huge kick in the Charger game at the end of the year to get us into the divisional round, and obviously wish him the best. And you guys know how Trent and I feel. Anytime you can add a player, like Brandon, who's got going into his 10th year with the experience that he has, and an opportunity also to get something for Riley too. It's not like it was just a total wash out there, but to be able to get a pick for Riley and actually keep him in the NFL and keep him kicking back in Detroit, where he came from and started. So it was just an opportunity to help us get better as a football team, and we're always going to look to do that, and it's just unfortunate that when you're at 90 guys you have to make these type of decisions to move on.
How does it change from a coaching standpoint? How does it change having the confidence in a kicker to make 55 plus, or at least to attempt that?
Well, and that's something we got to see with Brandon now, obviously, with his pedigree and again his experience. But I think that's yet to be seen. There is a comfort level, obviously, as a decision maker to put a kicker out there. You look at some of the top kickers around the league. When you cross the 50, the 45, 40, you're in the field goal range. So obviously we're gonna take a look at that this spring in training camp and see how that plays out.
How much does the new fair catch rule on kickoffs change strategy, ideas from a play calling perspective, kickoffs and returns both ways?
Well, the next man up after me is probably can answer that. But actually, Heath and I have had conversations on it. I don't think it's going to change a ton. I believe it could be a possibility if it's maybe a bad weather game. If the wind's blowing, rainy, snowy. Fourth quarter, and maybe you take an opportunity to take the ball at the 25 as opposed to trying to run. There are some strategy things. I don't know if it's going to change a whole lot. Teams that have dynamic returners like we do. That's something that Heath and I, as a game plan goes each week, we have to decide. Do we want to let Agnew run him out like he did towards the end of the season last year and try to get out? I think our kickoff return average was just north of the 25-yard line a little bit anyway last year. So if you can do that with a dynamic guy, I don't think it'll change too much around the league, other than maybe some weather or some strategic situations that could pop up.
Did you do it later in the season because of attrition and injuries across the board?
You'd have to take a look at that. You're talking about from our opponent.
Last year, yeah. Why did you do it
that, and sometimes too. He's a dynamic guy, and you see the explosiveness, with Jamal, and it's like your quarterback. You don't want to take the ball out of his hands if you don't have to, and he can hit a big return for you. And if he gets you up to the 40 or midfield, that's huge, especially in a clutch situation at the end of the game.
Is there an advantage for a rookie quarterback to have a head coach that was an NFL quarterback? You think?
I think any quarterback who was coached by a former player, who played the position, I think can help. I think there's some things that you can help, especially in this case a young quarterback. We did it obviously with Carson and early on with Frank and myself. Both have played the position at this level, and then obviously now with Trevor here, and and some of the other guys. You look at Frank in Carolina now with his opportunity again with the young quarterback. So having played it, yeah, it can help, but you still have to go practice and coach and show them just how to play the position.
Is there a disadvantage for that, for the young quarterback in that situation, you think?
No, I think all quarterback coaches, whether you played or not, are really good in this league. They've spent a lot of time studying the position and are going to have that young player ready to go.
Last week, the practice that we were able to view on Monday, I know Calvin came out for a couple of the positional team drills. Is that just a matter of you guys are trying to acclimate him to the system, or?
A little bit, that, and just want to be careful with him. He is coming off, he hasn't played in a while, plus the injury. And, so we're just trying to be careful with him. He's done an outstanding job for us. We just want to make sure that he's the type of guy that you have to kind of pump the brakes with. He wants to go so much and so fast and so hard out there at practice that we just kind of have to pump the brakes and just tell him, hey, now's not the time, But he's doing a great job. He's picking up the offense well. The times that he's working with Trevor, they're on the same page. They're connecting, and those are good things to see right now, in the off season.
Nothing injury related though.
No, just more or less just being cautious with him, and really, just making sure that he's, again, he hasn't played a ton of football, and just want to make sure that he's, ready to go for camp.
With the caution in for camp?
Excuse me?
With the caution in once camp?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, certainly. Once the guys come back for camp. Now, we have some exceptions to that, not necessarily Calvin, but we do have some exceptions to that rule. But yes, wheels are off.
The dynamic playing out between Calvin, Christian, just that whole receiver room. You're adding somebody who kind of thinks of himself as a number one receiver, right? And I'm just wondering how you, from what you've seen so far, how you think that's going to play out.
I think obviously that's something that Press and myself and the offensive staff, as we get closer to games, how we plan to attack defenses, whether we're using 2 tight ends or 3 receivers or 4 receivers or whatever. It just gives you a little more flexibility. I think having really 3 guys like we do, dynamics of 3 guys, and it's hard to take a guy like Calvin or Christian or Zay, even Jamal off the field, but at times you're going to have to do that to create matchups, to create situations that could be advantageous for, an offense and for us. And so, those are all things that, we'll consider as we get closer to games.
So where were you at the end of the year and even now?
Calvin?
With,
You couldn't see any sign?
No sign of, no. Mm-mm.
But where were you with Travis Etienne and his ability to pass protect at the end of the season and now? Were you okay with it, or is it something you needed to?
Yeah, I think and he did a nice job throughout the course of the year. He got better as the season progressed last year, and that's something that running backs just, they come again. Here's another young player who missed his rookie year due to injury, so he's coming back and he's learning a new system. Not only learning to run the football, but also now pass protecting. And he did a great job as a tough kid. Did a great job as the season progressed. And it's something that we constantly are learning even now. We keep teaching and with some of the drill work and some of the practices that we're doing. Even though we're not going live or against the defense, we're still putting our guys in those situations, blitz pickup situations, where just mentally they understand their assignments. And the more we can rehearse that with all of our running backs, and Travis in particular, the better they get.
What have you thought about Jordan Smith? He's a guy who got hurt during these a year ago, so you haven't got to see him a ton of the field. How important is this year and kind of getting back in the
Yeah, this is critical for him, and it's good to see him on the field. Number one, he worked extremely hard. He was in the building all last fall, and was attentive and in all the meetings and while he was doing his rehab. So, it's good to see him out there. He's done a nice job. He's just continuing to learn and understanding the defense. And at some point, I think with the medical staff, the brace will come off at some point, where it'll free him up a little bit to do more things. But right now, we're just this is the time of year we just want to be cautious and make sure that he's 100% coming into camp.
2 minutes left.
Christian had a big year last year for you, but he's still just 26 going into the second year here with the team and with you. Do you see any difference in Christian? Anything that he's elevated his game in, as you watch him?
Yeah, I just think that all of our second-year players with us, just the confidence they have within the scheme on both sides of the ball and even on special teams. You just see that confidence in all these guys and their leadership ability, taking the young guys and coaching the young guys on the side. That's what I see, out there. Christian's one of those guys. He's a pro's pro. Embrace Calvin, too, from the standpoint of just welcoming him to the team and then, obviously helping him with the offense as well. So, he's a guy we lean on, just a great leader in the locker room, in that room, obviously on the offensive side of the ball, but he's done a really good job in that regard.
Have any rookies stood out so far as they've now been acclimated with the veterans that maybe you were, wow, like that was a seamless transition.
It's hard to point at one. I mean, obviously you look at, you focus on Anton, right? He's your first pick and those top guys. He's done a nice job of working in there. And of course he's working next to a pretty good right guard, in Brandon. And I like where Brenton is, I like where Tank is at right now. Obviously I like our draft class, the way they've worked, the way they've studied, the way they've handled the classroom, to the field. I mean, we're putting a lot on these guys right now. That's what we want to see as a staff from their mental standpoint. But even the defensive backs, I mean, these guys are, Antonio Johnson and Christian Braswell, Eric Hallett. I mean, the guys that are here, are learning and they're doing well. And they're also contributors on special teams, which is, another reason why they're here as well, because they had good college careers there. So been excited about the group. We just got to keep them, on the come.
How big can that be for Anton, just to have a guy like Brandon next to him?
It's huge. I mean, it's huge. It's critical. It's there's a lot of communication that goes on up front, as you know, and Brandon really kind of can help calm him down just a little bit and kind of point him in the right direction. But Anton's a smart guy. He's really, I listen to Coach Rauscher in his meetings, and he'll call on Anton. He's got the answers. He spits it out. And now it's just a matter of just speeding it up on the field, right? It's the NFL, and things happen a little bit faster. So he's done a nice job. Brandon's done a nice job working next to him, and that'll be a really good combination to continue to work.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks,
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.